Guys, and welcome to the channel. Welcome to another lawn care video. I know this is only the second one, but figured this year I had kind of a lawn transformation. I want to give you guys a synopsis of what I was working with and how I improved my lawn pretty significantly. As a lot of you guys know, I moved into my house in late spring of 2020. Right now it is November, which is a little chilly. That's why I have a hoodie on. But I want to give you guys a lay of the land and kind of my process this whole entire season of what I did. And maybe you guys can learn something if you are interested, because I know a lot of you guys actually do dig the lawn care information videos. So I know I do. So anyways, I was starting in late spring, and unfortunately, my lawn was in really terrible shape. It had a lot of weeds, a lot of bare spots. It was not cut consistently, and it was not, it did not have any sort of fertilizer or any post emergence. It didn't seem to really have anything done to it besides cut however frequently, probably not the right amount. So one of the biggest things that I spend a lot of time with is figuring out what you're supposed to do. Like, what are the rules? How often do you cut? How often do you water? So the biggest thing that I came back with is one of the most important things is mow, mow, mow. And I'm like, that sounds too easy. If it was that easy, everyone would have green grass. Well, it's not that easy, but it's one of the pinnacle things in keeping your lawn healthy and looking good is mowing frequency and mowing height. One of the biggest rules, which you should write down. So this rule is called the 1/3 rule, and that means when you're cutting the grass, don't cut off more than 1/3 of the total length. Well, a lot of people don't understand this, and that's why their grass is stressed out. If you cut it more than 1/3 off at a time, you can stress it out. It looks yellow, it looks brown, it doesn't absorb nutrients properly, yada yada. Don't cut it more than 1/3. So that was one of the biggest things and most impactful things, is figuring out that rule really helped me. So I know it sounds really weird, but get a tape measure. Figure out what you're actually doing and diagnose kind of the process here. So I abided by the 1/3 rule very consistently. And then also the other thing is the mowing height. That is very important, and understanding the right height to mow the grass. It depends what kind of grass you have. That's kind of the answer. Tall fescue tends to be like maybe close to 3 inches or maybe even more, where you have other cool season grasses which can be cut a little bit lower. So I have a mix of cool season grasses. I'm cutting my grass between 2 and 3 inches. I think it's about 2.5. And during the summer it was a little bit longer. And then in the fall it goes down a click. But I usually try to keep it slightly on the longer side, medium to long. I don't know if that's a good metric, but that was one of the big things, is the mowing height and also mowing frequency. You can mow it pretty much as frequently as you want. Mowing about twice a week is probably my average, especially during like the spring and fall season when it's growing really quickly. During the summer, it's probably about once a week just because it doesn't grow as fast, but that's important. If you're mowing it once every 2 weeks and you're chopping it down, you're really stressing it out. So definitely don't advise doing that. So the other thing is talk to your friends who know about lawn care. One guy I met, we're actually pretty good friends now. His name is Ryan. I met him from the Obsessed Garage Facebook group. I posted about my lawn originally, and he commented and seemed to know like what he was talking about. So thank you, buddy, for like a million different questions I threw at you during this season. Friends like that, guys like that will really help you, get your lawn kind of in shape, because you don't know what you don't know a lot of times, and that couldn't be more true. Also, Ryan Knoor, Knoor, definitely recommend checking his lawn care guide out. It's like 20 or 30 bucks. Gives you everything you need to know, what month, what season, what you should do, what you should not do, advice, especially if you have cool season grass. Go check out his YouTube channel. I probably consumed every video he's ever made. All right, so impactful improvements besides the mowing was the edging, of course. Overgrown like 5 inches on the sidewalk. Get your edger out, spend an hour. It sucks, but crisp edges, You guys can appreciate that. I know that if you're watching this channel, you can appreciate a crisp edge. Ugly edge because my grass is ugly, but for now, it's at least a crisp edge. So that was one of the big impactful improvements. I did an application actually in spring, a spring fertilizer. Don't ask me what it was. It was probably later in the season than I should have, but I wanted to get something down, and I believe it had some pre-emergence in it just to help with some weeds. So it might have helped a little bit, but my lawn was in such terrible shape I didn't know the difference. So one of the biggest things I did was a tenacity application. So this is a weed killer, does not kill the grass, but does kill the weeds, and it is, in my mind, a pro-grade product. It's really expensive. You put like 2 teaspoons in like 2 or 3 gallons worth of solution, you spray it on the weeds, and it kills them over a few weeks. What's cool is it like obliterates them. They turn white, like the blades of the grass or the blades of the weeds turn white. And what sucks is that my lawn went from looking kind of pretty green from the street to being like patch crazy, like white patches on my grass. It looked like I bleached a third of my lawn. My neighbor even asked me, he's like, is everything okay? Did you mean to do that? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I know it looks terrible, but you're killing the weeds. And if your lawn's a lot of weeds, it's gonna look bad. That's just the nature of the game. So tenacity, highly recommend, because my weed killer, it was just not good enough. I had so many weeds and I just wanted to just destroy them. I was just so annoyed. So tenacity, I do recommend it. The other thing which I would recommend getting ASAP is a soil test. That can tell you exactly what you should be doing. You're like, oh, I don't know what fertilizer to put down. Well, you don't know unless you actually diagnose your grass. Like, I'm a financial advisor, so I can't just recommend you do something if I don't know what your situation is. You have different goals than someone else down the road. So that's important to know, is actually understanding what the heck is going on in your lawn. So get a soil test. What's cool, I'll post on the screen. My lawn was good on pH, which I guess felt surprising, but it was good on pH. Low on phosphorus, low on potassium. I think they also recommended a lime application. But most of these chemicals can be applied through a regular fertilizer, I assume. But I usually kind of resorted to my full lawn renovation for when I applied these things that the lawn needed. So to the renovation, different people do different things, and I'm still a noob, so don't take my word as like what you should do, but it's just what I did. So it's not necessarily right for me or for everyone, but it's what I thought was right after spending, dozens of hours trying to figure it out. Like, I literally spent dozens and dozens. I'm not even exaggerating. So the renovation, some people kill off their lawn, they start yellow and brown, they start all new. I wasn't confident that I could do that successfully. I don't know enough, and I don't have time that I'm willing to commit to doing that. So what I decided to do was a very significant overseed and a spot treatment. So any spots or big areas that did not have grass, I made sure that I overseeded and like seeded those really well. So that was my plan: level the areas and then move along. So the first step in your lawn renovation, which you want to do in fall, by the way, for cool season grasses. I learned this. I assumed it would have been spring, but fall is the best time to do a lawn renovation. The first step is mowing a little bit lower, a notch or two, I would say generally. And you want to catch the grass, and you want to get everything off the grass you can. Clean it up, get the sticks off, get all the junk out, that kind of thing. So catch it. Normally I do mulch the grass, but I would recommend catching it. And you want to do a dethatch. Mine needed a dethatch, definitely. And that's removing that thatch layer, the dead grass, which prohibits water and nutrients and stuff, and the grass from breathing. So you can rent a dethatcher, you can buy a dethatcher. It just tears up the dead grass. And then what you can do is rake it or mow it. I just did the bagged mow right after. I just went around and just mowed it after. So that's important to do the dethatching, especially when you overseed. You want the seed to go to the soil. Next is aeration, which is going to require lots of physical attention. you're plugging, you have those little plugs, and core aeration, it pulls out plugs all over the grass and allows water and nutrients, and it breaks up all the hardened soil and stuff like that. So any compacted soil, aeration can help for. And also if you're overseeding, the seed can get into the soil hole as well. And those little cores will break down quicker than you realize. I thought I was going to be staring at weird dog shit looking things for extended periods of time, but they actually broke down pretty quick. Okay, so after aeration, clean up the lawn, get it ready. What you want to be doing is applying your overseeding. So I picked tall fescue to overseed. I think I mentioned I have a mix of bluegrass and ryegrass and probably just a mix of cool season blend. So I picked tall fescue specifically because it's good in the summertime. It's good when there's not a lot of rain, and it's, I think, a little bit more resilient in lots of different varying weather patterns. I realized that like my lawn may not be a pure like dark green. That's like, it's not gonna be one color. It's gonna be like maybe different greens, but I felt like I was fine with that because regardless of what I do, I feel like either way I'd have to kill it off to get to that level. So I wasn't worried about kind of inconsistent greens. So I overseeded with tall fescue. And then on those very significant bare spots, especially like next to the garage, you'll see that picture, it's like a 5 by 10 or something. I did a smaller bag of mixed cool season grasses with the tall fescue. So it wouldn't be like one section of just tall fescue, but I overseeded the whole grass with tall fescue because I felt like the new grass that comes in, it'll be thicker and hopefully stay greener during like next summer. So that was my thought process. Everyone has a different preference. It's just like with anything with detailing. You want to use a coating, you want to use a sealant, that's fine. Whatever works for you, do that. There's no like wrong answer. Some people will argue it either way. I think fescue is fine. Some people hate it. Some people love it. I wouldn't mind having a whole lawn of tall fescue, to be honest with you. I just like it. So that's just me. That's just what I think. Also with the overseeding, I filled in like several bags of soil in the low spot areas that did not have grass, and I used a little bit of soil in like those bare spot areas to kind of smooth them out. I didn't do a full, like level of the lawn, but those areas that needed it, I did it. Put the seed down, get in your spreader. I think my Scott's is like a setting 3 or so like that. Overseed, peat moss in the areas that are bare, like the bare spot areas, or the giant square that had like no grass before. I did that there. And you're gonna water. So watering sucks. Watering is probably the worst part of this because you have to do it every day. It's like this nagging thing, and you have to do it like 3 times a day. 10 minutes per time, so like 10-minute intervals, 3 times a day, I would say. Really what you're doing is keeping the seed from drying out, and that's probably one of the most important things. You'll have to figure out strategically your sprinklers. If you have an irrigation system, it's gonna be no problem. But with sprinklers, it sucks because you have 3 and you add a 4th, and then the pressure goes down in those 3, so then they're different areas, so they put an extra one, you have to move this. It was terrible. And I will say, any area that does not get watered good enough will not grow nearly as good as the other areas, because there's 2 areas I could think of that I did not pay close enough attention that the water was getting all the way to the edge or whatever. It's still kind of bare. I mean, it's better, but like it's not what the other areas look like. So you'll just have to just bite the bullet and just look very specifically how good the sprinklers are working, and it's gonna be annoying. But it's gonna be worth it, trust me, it's gonna be worth it. So I waited 2 weeks, watered, did not mow, so I watered for 2 weeks straight. First mow. I will say, to get on, get off. That's what everyone says. Just bag it or don't bag it, whatever you want to do. I think I mulched, which is fine because the grass was insanely high. I thought it would be higher, but get on, get off, no problem. The grass will be squishy because you've been watering so long. It's a little freaky because you have like the little baby grasses, you want to destroy them. But I didn't even mow over the larger areas that were new. They weren't tall enough and I didn't feel like stepping on it. And I know that sounds weird, but when the grass is weak, it's just, you can kill it, I think, pretty easily. So I just left that alone for like 3 or 4 weeks, those bigger areas. I also can't forget, I did apply a all-purpose fertilizer when I overseeded. I did like a 10-10-10 or 10-12-10 or something like that. Highly recommend that. That also fed the grass that was existing really well because it was low on a bunch of those levels. So that helped tremendously. And it was several weeks, the grass was looking better. It was, grass was growing up, the new grass was appearing. But it wasn't until like I don't know, early October, mid-October, where I was like, whoa. Like along the sidewalk was way different. There's a few corners where I paid like really close attention to getting those really perfect. Those looked really good. There's a few areas where I wanted to do better, but for my first time, it was pretty good. So middle of October and then the end of October, like those mows, like those, you know, every 3 or 4 days I would mow at the end of October. Whoo! It was actually like a different lawn. Like it's like, I'm not even joking. The only thing I will say is that season, the end of October, you will probably see a few weeds pop up, and everything that I read tells you just to leave them alone. They'll die in the frost, and then you can just handle them in spring. I wanted to kill them, but if I want to overseed in spring and stuff like that, I just didn't feel like it was worth messing with. So lastly, before the season is over, apply your winterizer. I applied pretty much the end, middle to the end of October, I think. And then I applied just like, I don't know, not even like a 1/4 pound of like nitrogen winterizer in very early November, like the first few days of November, whenever it was still like 55 degrees anyway. So hopefully the grass could absorb it. But that winterizer will make your grass grow faster than you can even imagine. At least mine did. I had to mow it every 2 days, by the way. So when you apply fertilizer, or especially the winterizer for me, the grass was healthy, it was cool out, it was 50, 60, 65 degrees, good temperature for that grass, and it had a lot of water recently. I had to mow it like every 2 days. It was like ridiculous. It was like, I was like impressed at how quickly it could. Anyways, be ready for that. But that's it. Continue mowing, do your winterizer, and then mow until it needs it, until it freaking snows outside, which is gonna suck. But we'll have other content and probably follow-up video or two this winter about the lawn. And that's it. So guys, thank you for watching. I hope at least a few of you found this valuable. I don't anticipate this getting a ton of views, but I do want to thank all the guys that I talked to, my friends, family, anyone that kind of gave me information on grass, because I just really knew nothing. I thought I knew something, but I knew nothing. So anyways, that's gonna do it. Links in the description for a lot of the products I use. I will try my very best to put kind of what I did, or at least a link to it, in the description box below. Thank you for watching. Comment if you want more of these videos, because I don't really plan on making a ton of them, but I will if like more people want them. So that's important to do if you're watching till now. So don't forget to let me know, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you.